Okay, I think this is live. Uh, so today we are going to be talking about children. If you have seen the last episode, that's kind of a jump because I was talking about next we will be talking about marriage, right? But several things. One, I've started this. Is this the third or fourth time that I've recorded this one? But what I have learned is that it is difficult to start off something, right? It is, and Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah, I have started this. But then, the second thing that I learned is, no matter how tough it is to start, it is actually tougher, much more difficult, much more challenging to keep consistent, right? To be consistent. So, so yeah, basically I'm pushing for having this session just to produce that consistency or trigger towards that consistency, and I will not be going direct into marriage because I think that have to be planned out a little bit more better, so that I will not miss out any important things that I would like to see. So today we will have random thoughts that I have, based on what recently happened at house about children, with my children. And yeah, today the topic is children. And in case anyone is watching, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good greetings. Right, children, they are miracles. When they were born, they were cute little things. When they are baby, they will challenge your stamina and your passions. When they grow a little bit older or bigger, and then they will also challenge your financial planning when they go to school, especially if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, right? So we will be talking about children for a little bit this here it is afternoon. It's almost 6 p.m. here before I go back home. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we skip the topic of about marriage. We will put it in the next episode, I think, for a Muslim perspective on marriage. So this is just a random thought. I don't have a planned out thing to say, except some of the things that triggered in my mind about some of my children, and I hope it is a worthy topic of discussion. Right now, if you have multiple children, for any parent out there, or if you reflect on your siblings, right? Children have different characteristic, different character, right? And one of the character that you might have among your children, I have one of this one. I'm not sure what to call it, but it's like a detective, right? A detective character. They always find things that people might not notice, right? When that little girl come to this office, she always find things that I thought I never, I forgot I have them, meaning I forgot I even have those things. For example, I thought it was lost, but she always managed to find those things. And then, Dad, what is this? Are you using this? You don't seem to be using it. Can I have it? And then, oh, I want to use that, right? Even though it have been sitting on that corner of the room for 6 months or whatever, right? So that is interesting. Not commenting about my own response there, but there are kids that I'm not sure how, but they are very observant to particular things, and they keep finding things that others might not notice, right? When we go back to our parent home, so their grandparent, she always find things like, oh, can we eat this? Meaning that she keep always find things that other people do not notice. It's there, right? And it is quite interesting when she find, for example, in the fridge, in the refrigerator, oh, there's some ice cream bar haven't been eaten, right? And then it happened that it was mine, and she kept coming, Dad, are you going to eat this? Will you ever going to eat this? If not, I can help you finish this. Now, it happened that I have the character that I would like to savor the things that I love at the end. If you know that kind of character, right? For example, if I'm having different item on the menu on the plate, the most favorite thing that I have normally is being reserved for it to be eaten at the very end, right? So that's just my habit. And so yeah, that's how I eat basically. um, until when I have kids. Because they are interesting character, right? When I am eating at the dinner table, right? So I reserve it at one corner of the plate, and before I finally manage to savor those things, as I have almost finished the whole thing, and some of the kid will say, "Oh, you don't like that?" Before I can answer, take it, eat it. Oh, thank you, Dad. I will finish it for you, right? If you don't like it, I will eat it for you, right? So that can happen. That happen, and it is interesting because uh, the response that I have is like, what? In my mind, right? I don't verbalize it, but well, I'm having this. I do not notice I have it this one. All right. So why was I saying about the eating habit there? Oh yeah, going back to the ice cream, right? So the ice cream in the refrigerator, it is there because my kids already eat theirs, etc. So it's mine. I put it there to savor for later. Unfortunately, when you have a detective children, they will find it. You hide it somewhere in the refrigerator, they will find it, and they will keep asking, "Are you gonna eat this? If not, let me eat this." It's no use. So I cannot reason with her until let me have it. I'll eat it. I'll finish it. Until then, it will be repeating like every day. That I still see that ice cream there in the fridge, right? So the detective character is quite interesting one. So she always find things about you, right? There might be kids or children that have um, they do not filter things that they say, right? Be it from outside coming back home, whatever happened outside, whatever she was talking with her, I'm using her. Well, most of my kids are girls anyway, right? There's only one boy for now. The rest are girls. So hopefully, I'm not pinpointing because I don't know, right? My kids might watch this 10 years down the road and, "Dad, are you talking about us?" Right? So hopefully I'm vague enough in saying about any of those, right? And hopefully this is general enough because I'm just picking examples. I'm not wanting to say about them specifically, but it's from personal experience, and I think if you have kids, you might be able to relate on these things, right? So yeah, some of them might be very unfiltered, some of them might be very filtered and reserved and do not tell you much, right? Some of them could come back and tell you everything. My friend talk about this, right? And from there I realized that these small kids are talking about things that I don't know. Back then, I think at those age, I'm only talking about cartoon or even TV show. I'm not sure this is back then, like Gaban, Kesatria Baja Hitam, or whatever this is, right? Like yeah, like Power Rangers stuff, right? But they are talking about relationship stuff, right? It's bizarre to me. I still accepting the reality that they are exposed to more things than me myself back then, right? So that's one thing. It is quite interesting to tap into what is happening at school from kids that have no filter and keep on telling, right? And sometimes they ask question that is very hard to answer, really, right? um, I remember once when she come into the car after I picked her up from school, she asked this, "Dad, how did you know that you like mom?" or something. It's because I'm translating into English, right? The word in Malay is because we communicate in Malay, right? But she asked and said, what do you mean? Because before you were with mom, you are married with mom, there must be a point where you are not yet married, and how does you become married? Meaning she was already thinking about what happened that lead to the marriage, right? So I thought that kids below 10 do not think about those things. I thought, because I surely didn't back then, right? But I'm not sure what conversation that take place in school, but when she asked about question like that, for sure they are having conversation related to those topics, right? So yeah, that's quite interesting if you want to tap into what conversation kids are having. If you have kids that are non-filtered, they just they just let it out from their mouth, whatever question, whatever thoughts they have. It's great to tap into that, compared to the other kids that are very reserved. They do not tell you things, and if you ask them, it's quite challenging to get the full picture, right? They filter what they want to say. Now with the unfiltered kid, even though it's interesting and good in the sense to tap into what's happening outside with them kids, the 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 other side of the coin is they will be unfiltered also when bringing something from inside out, right? For example, right, when they meet uncle and auntie and grandfather, grandmother, or mom's friend or something, right? They can suddenly say something from what happened in the house out, right? Oh, that is something like that at home. Okay, that is interesting. That is so I have to filter myself so that the unfiltered one, whatever he takes out of the home, takes out and say it outside, it will not be damaging to myself, for example, right? So that's something that I found quite interesting in understanding kids and managing different because I remember the communication between the unfiltered one with the filtered one, right? When she says something, the other one says, why did you say why did you say something on that topic or something? Kenapa bercakap benda tu? Like, why did you reveal that? Meaning, because from her mind, she kind of filter things to say to people, right? While the other guy, the other kid, she's not unfiltered. She didn't think in that process. I think I'm not sure how the process will work, but she just say, like, for example, oh, do you have this at home? Oh, we have blah, 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 blah. It's just unfiltered. It never filtered, right? So that is quite interesting. Now, so in different character aspect, right? So I do find that different children, different kid have different character, right? In terms of how they seek attention, for example, also different, and different challenge basically, right? The way they want to absorb attention, right? What they do to gain attention. So it's different. The way they take criticism also very different, right? So when I mentioned that the character is different, not to say that in one aspect everyone is different. What I mean is that there are specialties in which, in this particular aspect, this kid is very different than the rest. In this particular aspect, this other kid is different than the rest, right? So, for example, for taking criticism, when I have one from the many, from the 6 currently, really cannot take criticism, or how to say, it's very difficult for this one to not let any criticism affect her feeling. she will be very upset immediately, for example, right? While the other kid is just anything come, she just bounce off, right? Like kids are arguing, right? Oh, you are tutu, you are something, and then immediately, you are more something, for example, right? But for those who cannot take criticism, the feeling affected immediately, right? And then you have to deal with the situation, right? Should this one go to the corner and something like that. Anyway, so I'm not going, I don't have, this is just random things that come to mind. I'm trying to speak as well as filter things at the same time, right? Because I don't want to really talk specific, because as I mentioned, some of my children might be watching this in the future. I don't think they will know about this now, right? And so yeah, some things might be better left not too specific, perhaps, right? So now, what is this whole thing when we talk about the character of the kids, right? Is there any positive out of this? Of course, for anyone who only have one kid, I think perhaps they only have the experience to deal with one kind of kid. If you have two, then you have two different kids, right? If you have like 5, 6, 7, then it's more fun in terms of the challenge becomes that multiplication, right? Yeah, so I remember one time before I got married, one of a senior friend, in a car, I think we are traveling somewhere, and he asked me, when do you want to get married or something, and I say my target is so and so, and we will talk about this aspect, marriage, sorry, we will talk about marriage in the next episode, maybe tomorrow, perhaps, inshallah, hopefully. Yeah, but he mentioned something quite interesting to me, that you have to take marriage as a training process for what you want to become later, right? So for those who are involved in community programs or the such, right? And you might have the same concept or the same long-term vision, perhaps, right? So what he said, he basically implied that leading the family with your wife as your partner in this journey, and then dealing with the kids with different characteristics throughout their development age, right? You actually have to learn how to manage people of different character, right? It's a challenge, right? And how can you say, of course this is more philosophical, because I'm not make this an assertion of an argument that saying people without kids cannot in the end be trained such, because training can happen anywhere. You can just go to the pond, dive in, try to swim, to train yourself to swim, right? Or you have some other process, right? So this is not exclusively the only way to get training for yourself to manage different things, right? And when we say in the future you will be going to be leading, right? You will be among the leader of a community. We're not talking about leading in the sense of like a leader of a nation, where you have the structure of the government, the rule of law, the rules and regulation, or you can pass legislation, etc., right? So that's different aspect. What we're talking about is leading people that is being inspired by you to follow your footsteps, right? So we're talking about that aspect. So it is quite interesting in that perspective, when we say how we are being trained by going through the process of dealing with different character of our children and our wife. If you have multiple wives, then you have then you have a challenge of managing those different, more complicated structure of your family. But anyway, I'm not suggesting I'm going in that direction. I'm just saying, going back to children, hopefully I'm not trapping myself here. And this is live. I cannot cut this anyway, but no one's gonna watch this anyway, right? But that's I'm safe, inshallah, right? Anyway, so yeah, so that's basically some of my random thoughts. What should I say? So it's just to share a little bit of my thought on dealing with kids with different character, right? Because it just so happened earlier today, when my wife is until from morning until noon, I have to go to the hospital. I have to take care of two kids, one of them a baby. Of course, there I realized how superwoman a wife can be, right? Because when I take care of the two kids, it's already challenging. When you take care of a baby, right, it is an interesting time to take care of a human being, right? They, yeah, depending on how they mood, etc., the health situation, etc., right? So yeah, to touch on that a little bit, it's quite interesting because you are taking care of the baby, she do not want to lie down, etc., so I have to, I don't know what's in English, you have to do comb the baby. And then when you just successfully make the baby fall asleep, right? That's the thing. If you have one kid to take care of that baby, you can put it down. Alhamdulillah, she is asleep now. I can do my work. But it is interesting when you have the other kid, that when you successfully do that, 10 seconds after that, she will jump in just besides the baby where she is sleeping to do some activity to make the baby come alive back again, wake her up back again, right? And then, what are you doing? And then she's like, wake up, and I have to take care of them yet again. I just thought I want to finish up some work, etc., right? So that is I wonder how a wife can take care of multiple kids and still settle some other stuff, right? Cooking, tidying up the house, or whatever that is, right? When I take care of them, it's full time for them, and I don't have a time just to do anything except when it can be done simultaneously, right? But anyway, so we have talked about that in the first video, and the second video, I think, about appreciating the woman, the superwoman beside you or behind you. When we talk about behind every great man, there's a great woman, right? We talk about that before. But in this case, we are talking about different character of kids, and yeah, of course, in it's as a Muslim's perspective, in the perspective of Islam, this life is a test, and your kids is part of the test, right? And when we say test, it's not just when you say they bring challenges to you in that physical manner, or challenging your patient, etc. Not just that, but how you deal with them, how you bring them up, how you educate them, etc., etc. If you do these things right, the reward in hereafter is great. If you do not do your part, your responsibility, you have to answer in the hereafter, right? So basically, that's the perspective. Of course, on that also, hopefully we will be talking specific on Islam's perspective about life and death, and what does this all mean, etc. Hopefully that's part of what I want to talk about mainly when I start doing this, right? I want to go into topic where it require more in-depth thinking, reflecting, etc. But we'll start with something like this, hopefully to get the momentum going. Yeah, I doubt anyone is watching anyway, so hopefully whatever I said will not be damaging to me that much, but hopefully it is some form of training to myself to speak more. I'm not sure, is it fluently or without meaning, because sometimes the train of thought and how you verbalize it, there's disconnect or not in sync, right? I'm not sure how to but I think you know what it is, right? Sometimes this is much faster than this, or this is much faster than this. Yeah, it can create, and especially when it's live here, right? Like this, right? So I talked about this in the very first one, where what is one of the reason why I'm doing this, inshallah. Wallahu alam. Allah knows best. Hopefully in the next one we'll talk about marriage, just to wrap up with the previous one, right? When we talk about how to end up with a wife in the concept of marriage, etc., right? Even the concept of marriage itself, does it require discussion? I remember talking to one friend of a friend from Europe, where he do mention that youth or youngsters or young people from his country in Europe do not really take marriage as one important thing in their life anymore, right? Because why do you need to get married, right? Some people say it's just a piece of paper, etc., etc., right? So I think that is also part of the discussion. Of course, I hope we will talk about marriage itself, because normally anyone who will actually have the potential to watch my video normally already accept marriage as part of the life structure, right? People from religious background normally accept marriage as one of, I don't know, a sacred relationship between husband and wife, building a family, right? But I think for those who have a more liberal background, sometimes they do question why marriage, right? So I think that one, it is interesting also to ponder about that one, especially if anyone want to discuss on that one. So that one is a separate topic. Hopefully we will go into that one also, if there's a audience to it, right? There's a lot of discussion that can be made. It's just whether we want or not, or whether there's audience for that or not. Yeah, I think because this is already 28 minutes, or is it 28 minutes? Time flies. I have to go back as soon as possible. So so that's some random thoughts. It's random, of course, so I'm go all around places. Is that the right expression? But anyway, I think I'll just end it here. This is a random thought from a Muslim, just a little bit perspective from a Muslim, a random Muslim. And with that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Have a great day, have a great week, have a productive week, inshallah, and we'll see you in the next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good day. So I guess we can stop right now, right? Have a productive week, inshallah, and we'll see you in the next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and